Welcome to your NFL Week 17 review on the Bottom Line View. It's Mitch here, back with the most anticipated show on the BLV each week. The show where I give you the bottom line. I discuss my thoughts on what just happened in the NFL. I react to all the biggest storylines, the biggest games, and break down my opinion on the NFL in Week 17 of the 2023 NFL season. And whether you like it or not, I will tell the truth about your coach. I will tell the truth about your quarterback, about your team. I will tell the truth about the NFL. It's 2024, which means we raise one more bar. We raise one more level of excellence. Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. It's the Bottom Line View. I'm Mitch. Thank you for joining. We are live once again for the Bottom Line. Let me know if you enjoy the live edition of the show more than you do the recorded, or what you prefer in the comment section. Hello to all the people in the chat. Let's say hello to the people. Don Burr says, tell your truth, not the truth. Pixel says, sup, Mitch. What's up, Pixel? What's up, Hunter Peterson? He says, hey, Mitch. What's up, Hunter? Let's go, H-Town, says Pixel. Big Al says the Eagles need to fix the defense in the offseason. Supreme is in the chat. Caesar is in the chat. Harley is in the chat. Big Al. Andrew says the over-under on how many times Taylor Swift will be on camera at the Chiefs game is 28. What would that be your best bet? My best bet would be over 28. Trayvon in the chat. Andrew says the Pats are out so I can sit back and enjoy playoff drama. Very nice. All right, guys. Vernon's in the chat. Shout out to Vernon. Shout out to Aaron Wolf, who says, will the Patriots get the second or the third pick, and who will they draft? I'll talk about that when I pick the game against the Jets. GK says, what's up? What's up, man? All right. Thank you guys for joining. Let's get to it. Let's waste no more time. Let's start with the Lions versus the Cowboys, which was the Saturday night football matchup. This is the headline. This is the title of the video. This is the section where Lions fans are going to come in the comment section and say, Mitch, you're a fool. You're a hater. You're this. You're that. You're this. You're that. The Detroit Lions have no one to blame but themselves. You're going to hear every podcast, every show talk about the ref this. He deserves to be suspended. He deserves to be fired. But they didn't watch the game. They didn't watch the game that I watched. Because what I watched was Mike McCarthy, the Dallas Cowboys head football coach, give you the game on a silver platter. Not only by running the football on first down so many times that Byron Leftwich would give you a high five, but I also saw him throw the football when he needs to run the football at the end of the game. Mike McCarthy, you candy ass. What are you doing? So I sit here and I say to the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy, if you continue to call plays like that like you did against Detroit, when your quarterback is throwing at a 100% completion percentage on first down, and CeeDee Lamb cannot be stopped, when you're running the ball for 1 yard per carry on first down, and you're not throwing the ball when your quarterback is 11 for 11, 12 for 12, dicing the Lions secondary to shreds, everyone knows the Lions can't cover shit. Their pass defense sucks, and their run defense is good. Everybody knows that. Caesar knows that. Big Al knows that. Coach knows that. Bodo knows that. Even John knows that, bro. Even John. The only reason this game wasn't the Cowboys by a million is because Mike McCarthy is a candy ass. So Lions fans, you should be grateful that Mike McCarthy gave you an opportunity to win this game. And then Dan Campbell lost this game. I don't want to hear it. Dan Campbell lost this game. He can go on and on about skipper this and skipper that, okay? He can go on and on about that. The 2-point play. Dan Campbell, he's a lovable idiot. That's what he is. A lovable idiot. I watched this game. You guys can go back to the damn broadcast. It's live on YouTube for you to watch. It's live on YouTube. I diagnosed the entire game. It's right there. First quarter, it's, I think, 7-3 or something like that for Dallas off the top of my head. Dan Campbell from fourth and goal at the 5-yard line. I might be a little bit off on my stats here, but that's what I remember. 4th and 5 from the 5-yard line. Dan Campbell goes for it. It's 7-3. It's a defensive game, kind of surprisingly. Dan Campbell goes for it at the 5-yard line. I said on the broadcast they're not going to make it. It's not a good play. Because you've got to diagnose your opponent. I don't care if you bite kneecaps. I don't care if your idea and your concept of your culture is we go for it all the time. You got to diagnose the game. First of all, it's a defensive game. Second of all, your quarterback's Jared Goff. Jared Goff can't move. So there's no threat of Jared Goff running or extending the play. Has Jared Goff ever extended a play in his career? Like, come on. Number 3, you're outgunned in the passing game. The Cowboys' pass defense is better than your drop-back passing offense. You're obviously not going to play the run because it's 5 yards away from the end zone. It would be stupid to run the ball there unless you run a quarterback run, which your quarterback does not run. Okay? They've got good corners. They've got Micah Parsons. You do not go for it on 4th and goal at the 5-yard line when you have to block Micah Parsons. It's just not smart. It's just not smart. Kick the field goal, make it a 1-point game. Guys, guess what? You want to hear something revolutionary? I'll break news for you. If they kick a field goal in the first quarter, they win the game. It's actually insane. So they don't kick the field goal. Okay, let's continue to go with it. They fake a punt later in the game, which ended up working out for them. Okay? But I literally called, Big Al can attest to this. Big Al was there. I literally called the fucking fake punt. This is how bad the Cowboys were in this game. I said before the fake punt even happened, the fake punt's coming. Hey, Dallas, the fake punt is coming. This man is so predictable. He's so predictable. I called it 1,000,000 miles away. And still Dallas does not stop it. And then you've got the end of the game. They drive down the field. Jared Goff has a fantastic drive. Sam Laporta, fantastic drive. They score the touchdown. Amon-Ra scores a touchdown. They go for 2. Okay, this is the situation. You go for 2 there. I agree. The first time, I agree. The first time I agree. Okay? Why? Momentum. They're on your sides. Now, why do we need to send 8 different guys to the ref to just fuck them up? We already know refs are idiots. Okay? Everybody knows refs are idiots. We don't need to confuse the refs any more than they already are confused. The poor kids are confused every week. Okay? They make mistakes all the time. Why do we have to send 3 different offensive linemen to the ref? Okay, well, why are we trying to out-trick ourselves? You got too smart there. You're too cool, okay? Just fucking line up. And if you have to run a play like that to score, Should you even be going for it anyways? Okay, think about that. Number 2, if Dallas knew that guy was eligible, they would have covered him. Okay? They would have covered him. If they heard that he was eligible, which they didn't report, they didn't announce that that player was eligible, obviously they're not going to cover the guy that wasn't reported eligible. So they're not going to cover him. That's number 2. Number 3, you go for it again twice? The second time, you got the other team got a penalty. Right? You got the penalty, you move back, you're at the 7. I think it was the 7. And then you go for it from the 7. You get a chance to now reassess and not go for it. And like I just said, it's the same situation as 4th and goal from the 5. So you are an idiot coach. You don't know what you're fucking doing. You already went for it on 4th down from the 5-yard line against Micah Parsons. Okay? You didn't get it. Now, why don't you put that in the brain and understand that now if we go for 2, it's the same situation that we went for earlier that we didn't get? Why can't we learn from our mistakes? Why can't we reassess the game of football? Why do we just go for 2 for going for 2's sake? Why don't we reassess? Come on. Like, how stupid? Like, what? You went for it earlier in the game, and now you try to go for it from 2 yards further than you didn't get it before. And then you get another chance because of a penalty, and you get to go for it again, and you don't get it. Like, what? Kick the extra point. Like, are we serious right now? Just play for overtime. And fans are going to say, and I've already seen it in the chat, fans are going to say, oh, Dan Campbell was never going to kick. That's just stupid. That's just, why go to overtime? Like, it's for the number 2 seed. It's not like the game was meaningless. It was for the number 2 seed. Like, why don't you want to go for overtime then? If you think you're the better team, the only reason you go for it 3 times in a row is if you're like a 17-point underdog in college football. Like, bro, this isn't that. If you think you're the better team, just take your loss. The momentum is lost. The ref effed you over or whatever happened. Just kick the extra point and go to overtime. Like, seriously. Seriously. This was one of the most idiotic coaching decisions I ever seen. The entire game was poorly coached. The entire game. I hope we see this game again. And I hope the Cowboys beat the Lions in the playoffs so that Lions fans can shut up. I don't need to hear it. I don't want to hear about the refs. I don't want to hear about the refs. Okay? Leave the refs out of it. They're idiots. We all know they're idiots. They cost teams games every week. We see it every week. I don't want to hear the refs. And I heard someone say that the decision by Dan Campbell was the difference between betting versus gambling. Betting versus gambling. When you go for it at the 7-yard line, you go for it at the 4-yard line, that is gambling. That is being on tilt. That is what's called, when you're betting, chasing. That is chasing a bet. You don't even have an edge. You don't have good odds. You don't even really know why you're betting. You're just doing it. You're gambling. The first time around, you thought you had an edge. You thought you had a play. You thought you could execute. For whatever reason, it didn't work out. And then Dan Campbell got emotional. He was crying. He threw a tantrum on the sidelines, and he decided to go for it 2 more times because he was gambling, because he didn't think it through. He got emotional. That's not a good coach. A good coach doesn't get emotional. Forget it. All right. Next topic. Bills versus the Patriots. Hatter's house. Do you think the 2 seed matters? If the 2 seed matters, then it's not. Why is it risking injury at any point? What? If you want the 2 seed, don't complain about not having the 2 seed then. If you didn't want to play in overtime, why play the fucking game? Might as well cancel the fucking game. Go home. Go ice up, son. That's what you should have done. Don't even play the game if you don't want to get hurt. All right, Bills versus the Patriots. Why are the Patriots continuously trying hard? Can we stop? Please, stop it. I don't want this anymore. Can we get to 2024? Can we get to the draft? Can we get for the draft? Hold on, this Hatter's house guy is driving me fucking nuts. Dumb logic, they played for the win. Playing for the win is going to overtime. You don't play for the win by going for it at the 7-yard line. Your chances of making a 2-point conversion from the 7-yard line are not gonna, unless you're playing a bad defense or you have a definitive advantage. What advantage do the Lions have from the 7-yard line over the Dallas Cowboys defense? What? We already saw them fail it multiple times. Get over it. Okay, Bills and the Patriots. Stop winning. Stop. I don't want you winning any games. But here's the thing. This is going to sound bad. The Patriots are not that bad. The Patriots are not that bad. The Patriots actually have been kind of fine the last few weeks. They beat the Broncos. They beat the Steelers. Apparently the Steelers are a juggernaut now, so I guess that matters. The Patriots nearly, actually, if it were not for like 3 of the worst interceptions I've ever seen in my lifetime, they maybe would have had a chance to beat the Bills in Buffalo. Josh Allen started this game 2 for 11 for 5 yards. The Patriots defense is on crack, bro. The Patriots defense is playing lights out. I don't know how this team, this defense, comes back week after week after week and plays with this level of intensity and this level of effort. I mean, they watched this guy Bailey Zappi throw 3 of the worst interceptions I've ever seen, and they still come out and they fight. This game was not easy for the Bills, which is a little concerning if you're a Bills fan. If you're a Bills fan out there expecting a long playoff run, you've got to play better. You've got to play better on offense. I understand the Patriots have a good defense and they're well coached and they're a rival and all that. But man, this passing game is out of sorts. It's too much on Josh Allen. Their weapons are getting absolutely boxed. Absolutely just taken out of games. Stephon Diggs, does he even play anymore? Is Stephon Diggs still on the Buffalo Bills? Can anyone find Stephon Diggs? Can we put him on the milk carton? Like, where is Stephon Diggs at? Somebody put it out there. Like, can we find him? When the Bills have not been able to run the ball as of late, they have not been a very effective offense, which is concerning. The Bills defense, I think, is actually continuing to trend in the right direction. They got a couple favorable turnovers thanks to Bailey Zappi being fucking awful. But their defensive line, I thought they gave New England nowhere to run. I think that's a positive to take away. The Bills' run defense continues to impress and be dominant. I think the Bills' pass rush is still very, very good and will give them a chance. And their secondary continues to improve with the addition of Rasul Douglas. Micah Hyde came back. You know, you got to love Daquan Jones coming back. And as a Pats fan, you know, I just continue to sit there and say, and I continue to rethink, should Belichick still be the coach of this team? Should Belichick still be the coach of this team? And my problem is, like, my dilemma is, it's not even a problem, it's a dilemma. I'm for Belichick because of the defense. But I'm also not for Belichick because I know that he has an impact on why the offense sucks. Like, maybe the offense could get better if they brought back Josh McDaniels, because it feels like Belichick can't produce a good offense without Tom Brady and or Josh McDaniels. So maybe there's that. But then you're also dealing with Bill Belichick, the general manager, who hasn't had a good draft in I don't even know how long. So, like, where do you draw the line? Do you like Belichick enough because of his defense, or do you just buy into the talent of the defense? Which, this is a talented defense. Do you try to, like, here's the thing that I don't know as a Pats fan. Are we able to keep Gerard Mayo and Steve Belichick on the defense while getting rid of Bill and getting an offensive coach as the head coach? Like, is that a possible scenario? You know what I mean? This is very confusing to me. I don't know what to think. That's why I feel fine, because I look at New England, and I said this in my power rankings, which will come out later. I feel like New England is mostly a quarterback and a wide receiver one away. I feel no different from last offseason. I just thought that Mac was closer to being the franchise quarterback than maybe he was. And maybe that's just a misevaluation on my part. But I still feel very similar to last offseason. I love the defense. We've got a ton of cap space. We're going to have a great draft pick. We need quarterback. We need receiver. And yeah, you could sprinkle in a little bit on the offensive line, but I honestly don't think the offensive line is too drastic either. We maybe need to hit on a couple draft picks, but like, I don't know. Like, we've got the defense. I like Pop Douglas. I like Stevenson. I think if we bring back Hunter Henry, we have ourselves a tight end. I would bring back Pharaoh Brown. I'd bring back Kendrick Bourne. I'd get rid of Devontae Parker as fast as I could, although he is signed, as well as Juju Smith-Schuster, so I don't know what they're going to do there. But maybe Juju will be healthier, like another year removed from an injury, so maybe he'll be better next year. You never know. But feels like the team needs a quarterback. The team needs a wide receiver one. And I honestly feel like the scheme by Bill O'Brien has been fine, especially as of late. But obviously, it's not an elite scheme. I mean, you watch some of these schemes across the NFL in San Fran or in Miami, and you clearly see a difference. But I don't think they're too far away. So that's my problem with the Patriots. They're competitive, but they're not good. And they clearly have a terrible quarterback. They clearly have a terrible quarterback. But the Bills, this performance definitely concerned me a little bit with how they couldn't run the ball. And then it felt like no one was open. And it felt like they really had no answers schematically for the Patriots defense. The Patriots were like all over them all day. Other than Josh Allen running and they hit like one or two big pass plays, there wasn't a lot there. But I will say you're not going to play a lot of defenses as good as New England that knows your offense as well as New England. But if your defense can continue to produce at this level and you can just lean on Josh Allen, you're going to have a chance against everybody except, I think, for Baltimore. Your offense is going to have to play better against Baltimore to have a chance against Baltimore. But the way that the Bills are playing right now, they could certainly beat anybody else in the AFC. All right, next. Let's talk about the Ravens. So this was the marquee game of the week. I went back, I watched it in totality. Gronk spike the like button, guys, if you're enjoying the live stream. If you're enjoying the NFL review, I'm undoubtedly going to have dislikes due to Lions fans being absolutely outraged by my take on the Detroit Lions. Although they know I'm right. They just don't want to admit it about their man crush Dan Campbell. Bro, Dan Campbell, get a tissue. You're still crying. Get a tissue. Okay. Ravens and the Dolphins. This was a showcase for the MVP of professional football. The man that I said back in 2018, number one quarterback in that draft, along with Josh Allen. Who would have thought they'd be the two best quarterbacks in the NFL today? The man that I thought New England should have drafted over Sony fucking Michel. No offense, Sony Michel, but what the fuck? I think Bill should be fired just for that alone. How do you not pick Lamar? And then you've got to talk about how all of these teams, the Atlanta Falcons, what? Wanted Desmond Ridder over this guy? They didn't even make a call for this guy? Lamar Jackson had how many touchdowns there can't? 5? You tell me, you're the Dolphins fan. 5 touchdowns? He just beat the Niners in their building. He comes back home to celebrate against Tua Tagovailoa, which he made an appearance. That's for sure. And now, like, this is the side of a coin, right? This is two sides of a coin. Okay, first of all, how the fuck does nobody reach out for Lamar Jackson? Second of all, Lamar Jackson's MVP. Third of all, Lamar Jackson is the number one quarterback in the NFL right now. I do not want to hear about Patrick Mahomes. Please save it. Number four is that I'm worried about the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins have so many injuries, it's actually getting outrageous. Bradley Chubb is out for the year. He's been a dog for them. And I think he'll be missed actually more so in the run game, potentially, than the pass game. I think Andrew Van Ginkel gives them a spark off the edge in the pass game, but you can run on him. And they missed Jalen Phillips already. They're going to miss Bradley Chubb. Xavier Howard got hurt. Javon Holland's been hurt. You never know when Jalen Ramsey's going to get hurt. And the biggest concern is when Howard is out or Ramsey is out, you've got to play Eli Apple. And every team just zeroes in on Eli Apple and throws it at Eli Apple. Or you have to line up Kohu outside, who makes Stephon Diggs look like, I don't know, Calvin Johnson in his prime. This Stephon Diggs. So you got to do one of two things. Put Kohu on the outside, or you got to put Eli Apple. That's not good. And Lamar figured that out pretty quickly. The offense, though, we go through it. Miami actually had success early on in the game. Achane was hitting some gashing runs. He had 2 successful runs early in the game. They hit a misdirection play-action play to the fullback early. That led to their opening touchdown to Cedric Wilson over the middle of the field. And it looked like Miami was going to be able to move the ball up and down the field all day long. They went in for 7. Very much like how the Niners game started for San Francisco, but except Brock Purdy threw an interception right to Kyle Hamilton. Miami scored a touchdown, so they actually got positive game script early in the game. Then on the next drive, Lamar and the Ravens respond. The first play of the game should have been a bomb to Rashad Bateman, but he dropped the ball. Then after that, Justice Hill just became James White in his prime and started going off. He caught a wheel route for a touchdown. He had a huge 3rd down and 16 screen conversion, which Miami's defense was supposedly good. I kept saying, Miami's defense is completely overrated because, one, they hadn't played shit. I mean, you play Trevor Siemian and Zach Wilson and, I don't know, all these bums on the Jets. You play the Patriots. You play this and that. You play all these bums. They play the Cowboys. And I understand they played well against the Cowboys, but Mike McCarthy's an idiot. Honestly, Mike McCarthy kept the Dolphins defense in that game. Let's just be fair. And then you watch them against a real coordinator with a real offense, and they get absolutely gashed. Justice Hill looks like Barry Sanders. The second drive of the game, Miami goes quick first down to Tyreek Hill. Then they run another toss play for a huge gain that looked reminiscent of the Christian McCaffrey run to the left against Baltimore. And then Tyreek Hill drops a wide open touchdown, which leads to a field goal. So I think it's 10-7 for Miami. And then Baltimore has their second drive. They actually go 3 and out, so it's still 10-7 Miami. And what I'm kind of thinking at this point, I'm watching this game, I'm trying to analyze, because I know the result of the game. So I'm trying to analyze how are teams going to beat Baltimore in the future. And I'm kind of thinking at this point, I think you need to play Baltimore's offense to stop the pass first. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I think you need to stop the pass. I think you need to put more eggs in the stop the pass basket, and you need to treat Lamar as if you've been treating him like Mahomes or Burrow the last couple of years, or Allen the last couple of years, where you're running more too high and you're actually forcing Baltimore to run the ball. Because right now, like, you may look at the Ravens receiving core and say, like, well, none of their receivers are alphas, but they're all pretty good. Like, Odell makes a big play every game. Bateman makes a couple big plays. Zay Flowers makes a couple big plays. Isaiah Likely makes a couple big plays. Even Nelson Aguilar makes a couple big plays. And then they got Justice Hill looking like James White. So, to me, like, I actually see more flaw in the Ravens' run game right now with their consistency of explosive runs with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, who I would argue Gus Edwards and Justice Hill are the two worst football players on the Ravens offense. Like, worse than their receivers, worse than Lamar, worse than Likely, worse than their offensive line. I think Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, just let them have the ball. Like, eventually your defensive line's going to make a couple plays. You force Lamar to be in 3rd and long, and then you can make a stop. But if Lamar is continuously seeing, heavy boxes and he's making explosive pass plays, or he's buying time elusive back there and creating plays through the air, or they're getting the RPOs to the outside and things like that, I think that's a bad way to live against the Ravens. I feel like the Ravens are far more effective when they've gone pass first with Lamar this year than when they've gone run heavy. I feel like that slows the game down for them, and that actually gives you opportunity to make some plays on 3rd down. That's just my opinion of what I've seen. Continuing with the game, though, 3rd drive for Miami. Their offensive line gets dominated. The Ravens do a very good job getting pressure. Matabuke, Kyle Van Noy gets a sack, forces 3rd and long, and Tua nearly throws an interception. Still 10-7. I wrote on my notes, Baltimore's pass protection was excellent in this game. I think last week and this week was the best I've seen them pass protect against competent pass rushes in a long time. I thought they did a very good job in this game, especially. I don't think anyone was near Lamar for the entire first half. So very good job. And maybe Miami should have blitzed more because of that, but nobody was near Lamar in this game in the first half. Incredible OBJ catch sets up the second Ravens touchdown down the right sideline. And that's really what the Ravens were able to get in this game, which makes me question, should more teams play, more too high against the Ravens? Because they got a long touchdown against Flowers. They got a long touchdown with Isaiah Likely on a 4th down. They got a long completion to OBJ. They nearly gave up a long completion to Rashad Bateman. Yes, they got some screen passes and stuff like that, but a lot of this was vertical down the field. Lamar was attacking the Miami secondary down the field. Now, maybe a lot of that's Eli Apple. I don't know. But at the same time, you've got to think about it. Then the next drive, it's 14-10 Baltimore, 4th and 6 for Miami. Miami is just absurd how they can run a go route and convert a 4th and 6 to Tyreek Hill. Like, that is outrageous. No other team in the NFL just calls a go route to their number 1 receiver and they get the ball and they get a first down. Like, come on. And then Miami kicks a field goal, which is another problem with Miami, in my opinion. They kick too many fucking field goals. I understand you like Sanders. I don't know if Mike McDaniel has a thing for him or something. I don't know. Somebody check on that. But, bro, this offense is supposed to be elite. This offense should be a little bit more aggressive. I don't understand why they like so many field goals. They kick so many fucking field goals, this team, and it doesn't give them a chance, especially when their defense is playing like this. And then you've got it's 14-13, close game. Zay Flowers, 75-yard touchdown, 21-13. The defense doesn't even give them a chance by giving up these explosive plays. They can't tackle. They looked slow. I mean, Zay Flowers looked like Tyreek Hill on that play. And then I keep seeing it, like A-Shane keeps hitting big plays on tosses and stretch runs and things like that, but they can't really stick with it because they're getting behind in the game. Then Tua throws a pick to Roquan Smith. That allows the Ravens to get good field position. And then Isaiah Likely on fourth down has a one-hand catch, runs it in for a touch. 28-13. The game's over right there. I don't care. The game's over right there. Right? Tua throws the pick to Roquan Smith. Game-changing play. Roquan, great player. Reads the middle of the field. Tua throws it into 100 people in the middle of the field trying to hit his receiver. And then the Ravens go, they score. They go for it on fourth down. They roll the dice. Lamar hits Isaiah Likely for a touchdown, and it's 28-3. And then right after that, after halftime, Justice Hill, huge kick return, sets up 35-13, and you know the game is over right there with Isaiah Likely scoring his second touchdown of the game. Right? And then after that, it's 35-13, and then the Ravens fumble the ball. The Dolphins get the ball, and then Tua throws another fucking pick. So, the Dolphins couldn't stop the Ravens all game. That's problem number one. Problem number two, you gotta run the ball against the Ravens. Can we stop trying to throw the ball every play against the Ravens? They can't stop outside runs. Run the ball. Run the ball. After I saw the Niners, I thought for sure the Dolphins would try to run the ball. Instead, they put the ball into a turn the ball over hands, and they get the ball turned over. And then you've got to stop them. And I think the way to stop them right now is you've got to allow their two worst players, Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, to try to beat you. I do not care. Especially if you have a good front seven. Entice them to run the ball. Make Christian Wilkins earn his money. That's my opinion on that. Let's get to the next game. What's up, guys? Gronk spiked the like button. We got 50 people in here, only 21 likes. What's up with that? I don't know. The Saints slaughter the Buccaneers. Now, this game was very odd. I can't really say I watched this game and could say that the Saints offense was especially dynamic. Like, they were okay. They did their job. Derek Carr didn't turn it over. He made a lot of quick passes. I felt like early in the game, they scored the opening touchdown, I believe, and they ran the ball pretty effectively with Alvin Kamara. But really, this was more about what every Saints win over the Bucs is about. Their defense played really well. I thought the Saints' run defense stifled the Bucs, and the Bucs pulled a Byron Leftwich. It's like they went into last year's game plan report, and they ran the ball on first down every play for 1 yard with Rachaad White. And then actually, the one time where Rachaad White had a good run, he fumbled. So that didn't work. And then, Mike Evans had like 3 catches for 70 yards. Chris Godwin was pretty quiet. They did a good job in coverage, especially. The Saints aren't a great pass rushing team, but their coverage allowed them to get home on Baker Mayfield. And I will not say that this was Baker Mayfield's fault for this loss, as much as I wanted to, because it would be easy to say that. But this was a lot about the Saints defense, understanding how to cover the Bucs, having good matchups on the outside. It's a division rivalry game. I think the main takeaway from this game is it's a rivalry game. I wouldn't take too much away from the Bucs losing this game, but I would say that the Saints had a pretty impressive performance, and if they can play this way on defense consistently, and they cannot turn it over on offense and be effective in the red zone once they get there, they can contend with a lot of different teams in this league in the NFC. It might be too little too late, though, because even if they win next week, they won't be able to win the division or get to the playoffs. If Tampa beats Carolina, they're in. They're going to win the division. The Saints need help to get in. So maybe it was too little too late. But you look at this game, again, going back to it, quick passes, a lot of nice Kamara runs early. Juwan Johnson finally got involved. I don't know why it's taken him all season to become like their go-to target in the middle of the field. He's a talented player. I don't understand why Derek Carr just figured out his name. Maybe Derek Carr, I don't know, spending too much time with his family or something. He didn't go over to say hi to Juwan Johnson. I don't understand. But Tampa's defense, I didn't think they played as bad as you would have thought. They definitely missed Carlton Davis, though, especially in this game. D. Delaney still sucks. Saints D had a vintage performance. Bucks run game was atrocious. What else did I see? Baker threw a stupid pick at one point in the game in the second quarter. Really, this game could have been close, but Baker threw a stupid pick in the second quarter in the red zone, and Rachaad White fumbled the ball, on another potential scoring drive. This game could have been close late, but those two things kind of denied it the ability to be close. So that's what I saw from the game. Good win for the Saints. Wouldn't take too much away from the Bucs. They just got to handle business in this last week. Andrew says, is my stream the only one messing up? I hope not. I hope everyone's stream is okay. What happened to the stream? Fear Flacco, guys. All I want to say is this. Joe Flacco. Who starts Joe Flacco in the fantasy football playoffs against the New York Jets defense, who hasn't allowed 300 yards since 2021 versus Tom Brady? That is my opponent in my fantasy league, Mr. Jack Cowie, Vikings fan extraordinaire. Shout out to Jack. Starts Joe Flacco on Thursday Night Football because probably he listens to this show and saw my 3 other rants in the 3 previous weeks talking about you must fear Joe Flacco in January. And it is now January, ladies and gentlemen. We are now in the year 2024, and now is the time that nightmares begin about Joe Flacco. All I must say is you must not give this man Anquan Boldin, or you are in trouble. Now, maybe his new Anquan Boldin is David Njoku, because that man on Thursday Night Football looked like Rob Gronkowski in 2011. He was absolutely undeniably fantastic. The Browns were running the ball on the Jets. The Browns were throwing the ball on the Jets. The Jets defense looked like a middle school team. Joe Flacco looked in his prime, slinging the rock, throwing it all over the yard. These defenses were supposedly great. They looked like garbage in the first half. This was the highest scoring game in the first half I've ever seen on Thursday Night Football. Nobody should want to play Joe Flacco because he just doesn't give a single fuck. He's going out. He doesn't care if he throws 3 picks. He doesn't care if he throws 4 tutties. He doesn't care if he falls asleep on the sidelines. He just wants to have fun, get back to his family, earn a paycheck, and go out there and give it his all. Nobody should want to play Joe Flacco, brother. And the Browns defense is not going to play this bad in many games. So for the Browns offense to look this good in a game against that defense, that is scary. This man popped right out the couch, did a couple sit-ups, did a few push-ups, and said, I'm ready to go. He said, who's Sauce Gardner? I practiced against Ed Reed. I don't know who Sauce Gardner is. Sling that rock over his head. Look at this man. 300 yards, 3 tutties against the Jets. That hasn't been done since Tom Brady. 2 years ago. What? Next. The Los Angeles Rams escaped New York. This was a weird game. Now, I had Kieran Williams in fantasy. Shout out to Williams. 3 touchdowns in one game. He gets the Rams to the playoffs. Williams has been the story at running back this year. What a story. What a player. Shout out to, I think it's Connor McLeod, who said Kieran Williams is legit. So if he still watches the Bottom Line View, shout out to him. But the Rams, they just made a lot of mistakes in this game, and that's why this game was close. So let's begin at the top. The Rams go for it on 4th and 3 on their opening possession. They could easily take 3 points. But this is a problem with the Rams entering the playoffs. They do not trust their kicker one iota. They do not trust their kicker at all. So they go for it on 4th and 3. Nakua drops the ball, so the Giants get a stop. By the way, Nakua, another absurd game. I think he has the most total yards for a rookie in a season at wide receiver, which is absolutely insane to think about when you're thinking about Odell Beckham Jr., Justin Jefferson, Randy Moss, Jamar Chase. Puka Nakua. Okay? But Rams get stopped on 4th down. Matthew Stafford started this game 12 for 14 for 116 yards. Put that in the back of your head. So the Rams were moving the ball. The Rams were pretty much controlling the game, but they get stopped on 4th down. Stafford throws 2 interceptions where he just straight up misses open players. Like, it was those interceptions where Stafford, looks like he's looking someone off. Then he comes back to the middle of the field and he just wildly throws the ball over a guy's head. That happened twice. Not once, twice. Right? A couple of the Giants scoring drives. Obviously, the Rams defense isn't the greatest in the world. Tyrod Taylor made the most insane throw you've ever seen on 3rd and 6. And then Wan'Dale Robinson had a long reverse touchdown run. That was their first touchdown. The half ended 14-10 for the Rams, only because there was, I think, an interception by Stafford. There was a 4th down failure by the Rams, and there was a fumble by Demarcus Robinson where they were driving to get a field goal before the end of the half. It would have been 17-7 instead of 14-10, right? So that flips the score a little bit. Then the game becomes 20-10 with 10 minutes left in the third. The Rams go down the field. They score a touchdown. Williams, of course, or maybe it was Kupp. I can't quite remember, but either way, Williams scored 3 of them. That's all I know. And then they took control of the game. It seemingly looked like the Rams were going to win the game by a lot, but they just continued to kind of keep the Giants in the game. Slayton scores an absolute bomb of a touchdown to make it 20-16. The Rams miss an extra point. The Giants, 20-16. Then Stafford's second interception results in the Giants getting another field goal to make it 20-19. Then the Rams don't mess up on a drive and go and score another touchdown when they don't mess up and turn it over. And Williams scores his 3rd touchdown of the game. It's 26-19. Then, with 3:47 left in the game, Gunnar Olszewski makes one of the most ridiculous punt returns you've ever seen in your life. Bounces off 3 different human beings, runs down the right sideline and scores a touchdown, looking like 2020 Gunnar Olszewski. Then the Rams end up winning 26-25, barely by the skin of their teeth. Like, they should have lost, to be quite frank. They allow the punt return touchdown. The Giants go for 2 instead of tying the game up. They don't get it because Tyrod Taylor misses Saquon wide open. And then the Rams get stopped. Instead of running the clock out, the Rams get stopped. The Giants get the ball back. Tyrod Taylor looks like Michael Vick in 2006, runs 30 yards down the middle of the field. They set up a Mason Crosby 54-yard field goal. Mason Crosby, old as dirt, off the couch, not like Joe Flacco, misses the field goal for the win. And that's how the Rams won. That's how the Rams won. The Rams barely won this game, but at the same time, they also kind of deserved to win the game. The Rams controlled the game. The Rams moved the ball at will, except when they made a mistake, which was, and what I learned in this game was, the Giants are still feisty. The Giants will compete. They'll fight hard. They've got good coaches. We know this. We all know this, right? But number 2, what I learned about this Rams team is that the Rams can't win if they make mistakes. So keep that in the back of your mind. This Rams team is not good enough if they make mistakes. In the playoffs, if they turn it over, they are not going to win. Period. Their defense isn't good enough. Their team can't overcome it. Oh, yes, the Eagles rant is coming, Big Al. You just wait. Texans are back. This one's quick. CJ Stroud's back. Throwing dots. Most accurate quarterback in football. Back. Texans offense didn't miss a beat. The only thing you can say about it is that the Titans' red zone defense is very, very good. And the Texans' offense, they went up and down the field, but they were forced for a lot of field goals. The defensive line of the Texans predictably dominated the game. I think they had about 5, 6, 7 sacks. Actually, the former Eagle Barnett had 2.5 sacks. Jerry Hughes had a strip sack for a touchdown. They were so good up front that they actually kicked Will Levis out of the game because of injury. And the big things that I noticed was from the Texans offense, their screen game was very active and very effective in this game in a way that I haven't seen very much from this offense. Maybe that's a layer to look forward to. I thought Nico Collins played good. I thought Robert Woods played really well. And the D-line of the Texans played really well. They stopped Derrick Henry again. They got a lot of pressure, and they dominated. They just looked really good, and I would favor them to beat the Colts this week to get into the playoffs. The Titans, I explained on my power rankings, they're probably in the worst situation other than the Carolina Panthers in the future. They have no future right now. I'm not sure what their future is. Next, the Chiefs and the Bengals. I watched the first half live, and then I went back and I watched the second half in the condensed version. So what I really want to take away from this game is, first of all, the Chiefs basically played the same script that they played against the Raiders. They fell behind 17-7, and then all of a sudden their defense dominated, but this time they were able to come back. So the Chiefs, because they played a bad defense, they were able to really run the ball, and they started, because the run game was so effective, the Bengals started to overplay the run, which then gave them some plays from Rashee Rice, Watson, even Kelsey, and especially Isaiah Pacheco, who had himself a massive game, both as a receiver and a runner, but especially a runner. And the playoff formula for the Chiefs is simple. If they want to have any success, they need to keep running the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, allow Patrick Mahomes in the passing game to be a complement, and play defense, play field position. The Chiefs, every single game, get one good punt return that will set up a touchdown, and their kicker does not miss very often. Butker had 24 fantasy points. Butker was hitting everything. The defense at the beginning of the game was a bit concerning. It took them a while to get in the game. They had to shift what they were doing. It felt like they were playing man coverage early, and they shifted more to zone coverage later, and it gave Browning a little bit more problems. They played better against the run in the second half as well, and they just tackled better. They played more aggressive. They blitzed a little bit more, and their defense started to shut it down. So actually, though, I want to say that Browning, he continues to, tell me, he's not bad. He's honestly a dollar store version of Joe Burrow to me. He's smart. He's accurate. He moves fine. He moves pretty well, kind of savvy. He even has the same sort of throwing motion as Joe Burrow. It's kind of awkward and weird the way that they both throw the ball the same way. It's kind of funny that they're almost, Burrow is just a way better version, but it's kind of funny to me to watch it. And then, yeah, that's all I really want to say is the Chiefs had a ton of success to run the ball. It kind of played out the way that I felt it would. I felt like the Bengals just wouldn't have enough on defense, stopping the run, because their run defense has been awful. And their defense, they forced a lot of field goals, but they couldn't really stop the Chiefs. And then the offense, they just couldn't sustain the success of the scripted plays and the good scheme early. And like Mahomes just made a few plays. So, like, Chiefs fans should be happy they won the game, but I wouldn't be overwhelmed by what I saw by the Chiefs. It wasn't extremely impressive. It just kind of was what it was. It was a good win, but it wasn't anything like to go crazy about. Okay, I want to talk about this before I get to the Eagles, which we'll finish with the Eagles. And if you guys have any questions right now, let me know. I just want to quickly say, death taxes and Tomlin, winning record once again, beats the Seahawks in Seattle. And my buddy Mike Beck was there. Shout out to him. He was a big Steelers fan. He actually thinks they're going to make the playoffs now. So good luck to him. I hope not, because the Steelers are boring as hell. But really, more of what I have to say is the Steelers won this game. They actually kind of physically dominated the Seahawks. And I think this is a sign that Pete Carroll should go. Like, my takeaway from this game is that Pete Carroll needs to go. Like, this team needs a new coach. They need a new identity. They need a new scheme. They need to freshen up. They need a recharge. Like, Seattle's players are too talented to be missing the playoffs. Like, this team has one of the best trio of receivers in football. They have a competent offensive line. They have competent quarterback play. They have an awesome running back and even a pretty good backup. They have serviceable tight ends. They have talent everywhere on defense, and they can't seem to figure it out. Like, Pete Carroll's thing is supposed to be defense, and they can't stop anybody. Like, Pete Carroll, one thing you could always count on with Pete Carroll's defense is there's been times where they've been bad against the pass because they've been too predictable, or they haven't had the talent in the pass rush, or they haven't had the talent in the secondary. But this year, it feels like they have the talent in the pass rush. They have the talent in the secondary. They're still not stopping anybody. And at the same time, they're not stopping the run. Like, that's the one thing you could always count on with the Seahawks. They will stop the run. They can't stop the run anymore. Like, Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, who's looked horrible, like, the last 2 years, looked unbelievable. Looked like Franco Harris in this game. So, the Seattle Seahawks need a new coach. And I've said this for a while this year, because when you just look at the main competition for the Seahawks in the division, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, they can't beat either one right now. They can't beat either one. That's 0-4 every year for infinity. So that's already behind the 8 ball. Like, I just don't think Pete Carroll at this point gives them any schematical edge on offense or defense. And I personally believe this team is too talented to not be in the NFC playoffs this year. This is a disappointment. They made the playoffs last year. They only improved this roster by bringing in first-round picks, by bringing in Draymond Jones, by bringing back Bobby Wagner, by bringing in Julian Love, by bringing in, like, the pieces that they brought in, players getting older, more mature. Like, it doesn't make any sense why this team has regressed. And this team has, without a doubt, regressed. There is just, to me, no argument why you would bring Pete Carroll back next year after what happened this year. It's not like they're an overly injured football team. Sure, they've had a couple injuries now and again, but it's not consistent. So for me, I just don't get. I would get rid of Pete Carroll, and I think this is also a sign that Mike Tomlin will probably keep his job. Like, Steelers fans a couple of weeks ago, after they lose to New England, they wanted Mike Tomlin fired. They were kind of in the same spot as New England, where it was like, our offense sucks. Like, I don't care that we win these close games, and I don't care that our defense is really good. Like, at a certain point, we need to score some fucking points, right? So Steelers fans were, like, up in arms about that, just like Patriots fans. And it was almost worse because the Steelers actually realistically had some talent on offense. Like, New England doesn't really. So you could at least point to, like, well, if another coach had these receivers, like they probably do better. But Tomlin at this point just has such a record of competence in winning for no reason that you have to keep him as the coach. But you mostly now point to Pickett's not the guy. Trubisky stinks. Like, Mason Rudolph has come in there, and he's a backup in the NFL, and Mason Rudolph has made this team better. So at a certain point, like, if Mason Rudolph is part of the solution to help Mike Tomlin get over the top, then maybe all along it's just quarterback. Maybe it's just quarterback that's the problem with the Steelers. Because I can't even say the offensive line is bad. Like, I think it's much better than last year. The receivers are good. They're talented. The running backs are good. They can run the ball right now. The defense maybe isn't elite, but it's good and it turns the ball over and it gets a lot of pressure. So for me, like, the Steelers need to look at quarterback. And if I were the Steelers, I'd be in on Kirk Cousins next year. I would be trying to help Mike Tomlin by bringing in a veteran quarterback who can kind of like be successful without a lot of help schematically in terms of he knows how to play the game. Like, he knows basics of offense. Like, sure, Cousins could be elevated by scheme, but he's a smart player that can be accurate, can function in offensive line, can, work protections. Like, for the Steelers to be a good team next year, they need a good quarterback. And I'd be willing to sign like Cousins to a 2-year contract for like $30 million per year or something like that, whatever they want to do. But that's what I would look at if I were the Steelers. So those are my final notes there. We had a couple comments here. We got more dislikes from Lions fans. That's great. Guys, make sure that you Gronk spike the like button if you want to outweigh the Lions fans. Scott says you send the extra guys to the refs in hopes that the other team doesn't hear what the number is declared eligible. Yeah, I get it. But I also think it's kind of like overcomplicating the matter. I understand it's more the refs' fault than anything else. But sure, the refs messed that up. That's one thing. But then for you to go for it another 2 times, shoot yourself in the head. Like, I don't understand it. Thought you were going to talk about Jordan Love. Oh, yeah, I went so long on Tomlin and Pete Carroll that I forgot about Jordan Love. So just one thing about Jordan Love. Played great against the Vikings. Like, Brian Flores, that's the best I've seen an offense prepare for the Vikings defense all year. That was thoroughly dominant in a way that I didn't think would happen. Brian Flores is a top 3 defensive coordinator in the NFL. He had no answers. Now, Jordan Love frustrates me for one thing and one thing only. He throws easy passes worse than any quarterback I've ever seen in my life. Like, he reminds me a lot of Matthew Stafford when Stafford was young, where, like, sometimes you don't have to make the pass look cool. Like, Love, you don't have to throw the ball off your back foot falling backwards to the flat, like 17 yards over the guy's head. Like, I get it. You need to throw that seam ball with power and accuracy. And here's the thing with Love. He makes elite throws as well as almost any quarterback in the NFL, other than maybe Josh Allen and Mahomes. But like, he's right there after those guys in terms of like high level passes. But he's very inconsistent on easy passes. But he's getting so good versus pressure. He's extremely impressive at knowing where to go with the ball against the blitz and against pressure. And he really seems to have built a rapport with these young receivers. And this offense overall just looks extremely promising in the future. Like, Watson's not even playing, and you're finding really good options out there in guys like Reed. Wicks didn't play, but Wicks has impressed me when he plays. Dobbs, Musgrave hasn't been playing, but he's talented. Kraft looks good. Obviously, Aaron Jones gives them a spark to the running game. The offensive line is competent. I don't think it's as dominant as it was maybe like 2 years ago, but it's still good. And they've got receivers everywhere that are making plays. Like, who are these guys sometimes? Like Heath. Who the hell is that guy? And then Defensively, they still suck. I don't care what Joe Barry did against Jaron Hall or whatever his name is. The Vikings made a mistake. Like, you could tell on Kevin O'Connell's face, they made a mistake. They shouldn't have started Hall. Like, that was a huge mistake. I don't understand it. The game would have been better if Nick Mullins would have played, but I almost wonder if the Vikings kind of, after last week, they just kind of gave up. They kind of understood, like, that they even if they make the playoffs, they're not going anywhere, so what's the point? It almost felt like the Vikings went into that game and gave up and kind of, like, shut the door on their playoff hope. But I've also said this about the Vikings. If they had Kirk Cousins, they would be a really good NFC contending team. Like, so that's kind of the dual-sided sword of the Vikings this year. And the Packers, they've been frustrating all year because they have such a high ceiling, but they also have such a low floor because you don't know what you're going to get out of the defense. You don't know what you're going to get out of Joe Barry. You don't know what Jordan Love's going to bring on a consistency basis. And this receiving core is young and they make mistakes. This is just a young team. But I will say this. This is already a successful season for the Packers. Like, no doubt about it. Especially if you make the playoffs and you can claim that Jordan Love in his first year did better than Aaron Rodgers in his last year. That would be a home run, like, looking back at that. But already, this is a successful season for the Packers. I picked them to be the 7 seed. And if they win, before the year, I picked the Packers to be the 7 seed. If they win, they're going to be the 6 or the 7 seed. They might actually be the 6 seed, which surpassed my thoughts on the team before the year. So, crazy. But really, really good year from the Packers. All right. Gabe, I think he was just desperate. All right, let's finish off with this. Fly, Cardinals, fly, on their way to victory. Fly, Cardinals, fly. Touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch the Cardinals fly. Kyler. Yes, sir. The Arizona Cardinals walked into Philadelphia. Hold on a second. Kyler Crosby did his thing. Kai the kid did his thing. Kyler walked in to Philadelphia with this jersey on, this jersey right here. He said, who makes Philadelphia more angry than anyone else in professional sports? The all-time leading goal scorer against the Philadelphia Flyers, Crosby. And if nobody saw it, Kyler Murray walked into Philadelphia wearing this jersey, and he put a W on their head. That's what happened. That is what happened right there. And then we got to talk about what happened because it was a disaster. All right? The Cardinals, 32 first downs, 449 total yards, 39 minutes and 39 seconds of possession, guys. Let me reiterate. 32 first downs, you guys might not realize, that is an insane number. That is insane. 32 first downs, 39 minutes of possession. Guys, there's 60 minutes in a game. 39 minutes of possession. They outpossessed the possession kings. And you think about this loss for the Eagles, bro. And I don't want to make Big Al cry, but the Eagles had 2 touchdowns from 4,000-year-old Julio Jones. They got a pick six from a rookie safety named Sidney Brown. That was like a 96-yard interception to make the game 14-3 that Kyler Murray literally gifted them because of a miscommunication with his young receiver, Wilson. And Kenneth Gainwell threw a pass on fourth down to complete it for a first down. They led the game 21-6. 2 touchdowns from Julio Jones, who's 1,000 years old. Sidney Brown pick six. Gainwell threw a pass for a first down on fourth down. They were up 21-6, and they still lost. Think about that for a second. They still lost a game in which all of those things took place. A pick six by a rookie, 2 touchdowns by an old elder man. Gainwell, a running back, threw a pass for a first down on fourth down. They led the game by 2 touchdowns, and they still lost to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, shout out to Pew Pew, Pew Pew, Jonathan Gannon with the win. Because all Eagles fans hate him now because of what happened in the offseason where the Eagles thought he might leave, but if he left, they wanted to go out and get Vic Fangio. He didn't give them that chance because he took a little bit too much time in order to sign with the Cardinals, and Fangio ended up going to Miami. So he screwed him over a little bit, but he walks into their house, he calls their offense out, and bam, first drive of the game, they get a stop. First drive of their game, they get a field goal. And then after that, they got a little bit unlucky. But other than that, the Cardinals didn't just win this game, guys. They dominated this game. Again, 449 yards, 39 time of possession, 32 first downs. That is not a fluke. I mean, James Conner looked like Jim Brown out there. He was breaking tackles left and right. Michael Carter looked like Adrian Peterson in 2008. He was just untackleable. James Conner caught a one-handed touchdown in this game. One-handed. And I have to say this about the Cardinals. I say it every week. The Cardinals have the most underrated offensive line in the NFL. They ran the piss out of the football in this game. The Eagles could not stop the run in this game. James Conner, the pin and pull game, pulling linemen left, pulling linemen right. James Conner and Carter were gashing the Eagles consistently, picking up first downs consistently. Greg Dortch was making catches. Trey McBride was making catches. Wilson was making catches. Kyler was scrambling. He was running himself. And the Cardinals' play calling was really good. A lot of screens, a lot of bubble screens, a lot of quick passes, some rub routes, a variety of runs. I mean, their play calling was night and day better than the Eagles. The Eagles' offense is a joke. I mean, I could tell you what the Eagles are going to do on every play. 3rd down and 4, they're going to run right up the middle, inside zone. 1st down and 10, they're going to run a bubble screen. They're going to run a curl route to A.J. Brown. They're going to run a slant to Devontae Smith. They got 5 plays. Big Al, the Eagles have 5 plays on offense. They got the 5 moves of doom, John Cena. The Eagles are 2006 John Cena with the 5 moves of doom. They got the attitude adjustment. They got the 5-knuckle shuffle. They got the shoulder block. They got the leg drop. They got the 5 moves of doom, brother. They have 5 plays. Give some little variety, a little creativity here. You can't just rely on your players the whole time. This is one of the worst coached teams in the NFL. Nick Sirianni with his Italian flag on his visor. Turn it sideways, shove it up your ass, and meanwhile, take your big Philly sub, your cheesesteak, shove it down big fat ass Dom's throat. Big fat another sub down his throat. This guy and their corners suck. Ringo is like a 7th round pick. This guy out of Georgia, I'm sorry, Ultra, he sucks. He's terrible. Terrible. D-line, they don't even want to make a play. There's nobody out there running to the ball and making a Big Al, this team played with no effort on defense. The only guy trying is Blankenship, and he's not even good. He just tries hard. I give him a little credit because he fights out there. Everybody else is just, they're just, yeah. They got no love. They got no eye of the tiger. There's no Rocky Balboa in their soul. It's gone. A.J. Brown is throwing his hands in the air. Sweat can't believe it on the sidelines. They showed it on the television. 28-28 with 5:26 left in the game. I thought this was a low-key brilliant move by Jonathan Gannon. They tried an onside kick, the Cardinals did, when they tied the game up 28-28, and it didn't work. The Eagles actually got the ball, but what it did with 5:26 left in the game, it allowed a shorter field for the Eagles to not possess the ball and kill the clock, which allowed Kyler Murray to get the ball back in order to score a touchdown for the win after forcing the Eagles to score a field goal. Budda Baker was phenomenal in this game. Shout out to Budda Baker. He did a great job against Jalen Hurts, kind of like being the spy. Kyler was fantastic, accurate, decisive, quick, all those things. And I honestly think that the Cardinals have a promising future right now in the NFL. They've got 2 first-round picks. They've got a good quarterback. I don't think Kyler's great, but I think he's good. They've got a foundation of an offensive line. It feels like their coaching is pretty competent. And you can look at this team at the end of the year and you could say, we beat the Eagles, we beat the Cowboys. The only good NFC team we didn't face the Lions, and we didn't beat the Niners. But other than that, we beat the Cowboys and we beat the Eagles. That's pretty good for a team that I didn't even know if they were going to win a game before the season started. So, hey, good season for the Cardinals regardless. Next week, they might beat the Seahawks. I wouldn't be surprised. I might actually pick Kyler Crosby to beat the Steelers next week. Or not the Steelers, the Seahawks. They already beat the Steelers. They might beat 3 playoff teams. So, Kyler Crosby, shout out. Fly, Cardinals, fly. And the Eagles, I'm sorry, Big Al, they might lose in the first round of the playoffs. I will 100% be cheering for Nick Sirianni's ass to lose to Baker Mayfield. I'm sorry, Big Al, but that's just the way it's going to go. Appreciate everybody for watching. That is the end. Wanted to end with the Eagles, start with the Cowboys, and everywhere in between. Gronk spiked the like button. Thank you guys for watching. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. Appreciate you. Gronk spike, subscribe. Get those likes up so more people can find this video. Share this review if you enjoyed it and you think other people will enjoy it. If you have a specific rant that you liked, get in that comment section and let me know. We just had Rocky Balboa enter the chat. He's not satisfied with the Eagles either. Peace, guys. Thank you. And we will see you for the picks for Week 18. Deuces.